live. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday to you all. Hi, Caitlin.
Good morning, Jeff. How you feeling?
Shitty. Scratchy throat. Scratchy throat, itchy eyes. It's ended, like it abated, which is an SAT word. Yesterday with the rain, it helped. But boy, just the back, you just like it's like you're sick, but you're not as sick. It's like postnasal drip,
Yeah.
blowing your nose, scratchy throat, but you're not ill. And God, this has been a rough allergy season. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It really, yeah. I had a sinus infection 2 weeks ago. Kind of got over it. I was fine last week, and I'm fine right now. But it seems like you got hit hard twice.
Yeah, I think it'll ease up now. Everything's pretty much in bloom.
Yeah.
It's kind of done. But when you do yard work, it flares. Anyhow, happy Sunday. It's a good day. It's gonna be a nice day. I'm gonna get outside and get some fresh air,
Yeah.
do some
It's
gardening.
only supposed to be like 65 degrees.
Yeah, it'll be very pleasant. I've decided to switch my garden because I don't cheat with my garden, and I grow from seed. I don't go to the store and buy the little plants and move them into and just put them in a pot. You got to grow from seed. So I've decided to do a salsa garden, which is grow mostly tomatillos and cilantro. And I'm gonna get some. I got to get my jalapenos going, and I'm just gonna have lots of green salsa come September. Good stuff.
Yeah. Dude's posting W's.
Yeah. Do you know who's also posting W's?
Who?
The Department of Justice. Getting rid of Soros-backed DAs, baby. Chesa Boudin down. Rachael Rollins down.
Oh my gosh.
W, baby.
Talked about her on the podcast before and how awful she is.
She sucks. She has sucked since the beginning. Okay.
Oh yeah.
When she used to fight it out with Charlie Baker, because here's the thing about her, that she was notorious in Boston. So for those of our international audience who may be paying attention to this, Rachael Rollins was a Soros-backed DA who got elected, I want to say, 2018. Yeah, I think that's right, 2018, and then was appointed U.S. attorney when Biden became president. Now, for the 2 years she was on, she was Soros-backed. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not anti-Semitic. It's not anything. He wants to basically dismantle the Western civilization, the primacy of America, and he's doing that by finding people.
He's written about it.
Yeah, he's doing that.
He wrote an op-ed saying what his goals are in the Wall Street Journal. Like he's straightforward. George Soros is.
He wants to destabilize society, and the easiest, fastest way to destabilize society, like the commies used to do, is you let the prisoners out of jail. But if you never put them in jail to begin with, well, then they're still out on the street. So Rachael Rollins gets into office and immediately says she's not going to prosecute about a dozen crimes that were previously prosecutable, which is this. I want to say it used to be called. Bleeding heart liberalism. Now it's not bleeding heart. It's overt destabilization of society. And she
with a touch of champagne socialist from Rachael Rollins, because when we will get into what she did, it is very Bushy in how she was very corrupt.
Oh, yeah. So that goes hand in hand with a lot of these folks. It's like they're not pure ideologues. They're also shitty old school scumbag politicians, which she was. Well, so we first became aware of her misdealing.
Didn't the big misdealing didn't she interfere in the election of a...
Well, we'll get to that. Okay. I kind of want to go a little bit chronologically here. Okay. Because it's important for context and it's just a reminder for those who we know locally and who watch the show, how bad she really was, and how she was treated so just hands off by local media, which is obviously doesn't get why they're
right.
not
Like
even
this,
respected.
well, the thing is maybe it hands off by the media. Like they knew how bad she was. They knew how shady she was. And she resigned. I actually haven't seen the formal letter. She was supposed to have resigned on Friday for her attorney. But yeah, she did some shady stuff for a very long time, and the media kind of didn't report on it. So her resignation for this should not come as a surprise, but it might come as a surprise for a lot of liberals in the state.
Yeah, of course they never hear about it. So when
or they knew and they just didn't.
Well, that's some of them knew, but a lot of them never heard about it. But she started her career as I think Suffolk County DA, and she was she was leaving, I think, South Bay Center, maybe over in Dorchester shopping center, and call it a road rage incident where people were cutting her off and she threatens them, and then she cuts the line by throws on her sirens and her lights, not in an official capacity like there was any need to, but just to get around traffic, which it's an abuse of power. Okay, is it a crime?
It is abuse of power, not the biggest abuse of power.
No, but it
is still an abuse of power.
And here's the thing: news crew shows up at her house. Excuse me, DA Rollins. We like reports that you threatened some civilian citizens or whatever you want to call it, and then threw your lights on and avoided traffic, and then she like threatens them. So this is the entitlement, the audacity entitlement of a lot of these progressive politicians, especially in the cities. They think that they can get away with it. Who the fuck are you to talk to them like that? Don't you know who I am? That's the attitude. And you know what you are? Yeah, you're the former U.S. attorney. And you're probably going to be ambulance chasing. Because soon after that, when her policies started to come into effect, I think there was I forget who the name of the official was in Baker's administration, wrote a letter, saying, basically condemning what her policy was, the soft on crime policy, because she is soft on crime. And she spoke out. Baker kind of just wanted to avoid this, which I think he should have been a lot stronger on in taking her on this. It's bad policy. It's bad legal policy to not prosecute criminals. And that was a little flare up, but that went away pretty quick because behind the scenes they're like, oh, we don't rock the boat here, because the whole thing with the Baker administration was like, we're not getting into this back publicly, settle everything behind the scenes. But Rollins didn't like that. She liked the cameras, she liked the attention, she liked being a victim, she liked getting on her high horse and doing all this, and very much off-putting, but to normal people, but to progressives they loved it. Meanwhile, fast forward to, I guess, today. Now, Caitlin, can you outline what she got nailed on? Because there's something out there and then the public discourse that we need to really talk about.
She got nailed on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the biggest one?
She attended a political fundraiser for Democrats.
Well, no, that was not. See, that's where I go. It initially was she violated the Hatch. They violated the Hatch Act, which you're not supposed to do as a government employee. Go to political stuff. Okay. Dr. Jill was at a fundraiser. She shows up. She was told multiple times. By the way, if you really read this, again, the audacity. Okay.
Well, it's very comical when you read like everything she did, because she was told several times. The thing is, like, she did it, but she was told this violated several laws. She
was told beforehand.
Yeah.
So the Dr. Jill fundraiser was not the major problem, but it was put out in the press like that was the reason why she had to resign. No. We'll get into the reason why she had to resign in a second. But this was sort of a distraction, and it was a bullshit distraction, but from her allies, again, in the media, who wanted to play that she was some victim and this is some, witch hunt, which it's not. She was told Joe Biden was at a fundraiser here in Massachusetts. Rachael Rollins wanted to go to it. She was told she can't. She was told she shouldn't. It violates this. It violates that. She said you can go to the outside of it, not go into the building, and Dr. Jill will come out and meet you and say hello. But that's about as good as it can be, right? Because technically you can, there's plausible deniability. She's like, nah, fuck that. I'm going in the building.
Yeah,
she was told this beforehand.
Again, like when you read the entirety of what she did,
entitled.
She was told that she can go to the outside of the building. She cannot walk into the building. And she did it anyway.
Yep. So, if grand scheme of things, if that were the only thing,
it's not.
I would be like, okay, guys, that's a bit unfair.
We're talking about a long list of things that she did. Yeah. We're not talking about like one.
So if that were the only thing, if it were just the Dr. Jill fundraiser, I would have been like, all right, come on, that's a bit much. You have to resign for that. That's a bit much. Public apology, whatever. Okay, fine. No. She used her influence also to scam a bunch of Celtics tickets, not just for needy kids, which was the cover story, but for herself. By the way, she got the premium loge seat tickets, and the kids were up in the nosebleeds. Just that's your commonplace grift of influence peddling. But the big one, and this is morphing day by day, minute by minute, is she threw her weight around in the race to replace her. I forget the guy's first name, but Hayden is the new Suffolk DA. But Ricardo Arroyo, who's a Boston city councilor, ran for that spot as well.
Now, I pulled up the DOJ document on this. So yes, Go into that.
So basically, during that race, she inappropriately, to say the least, used her political influence and her her office to leak undisclosed, non-public information to the media about criminal investigations going on into Hayden, while supporting Arroyo.
Yep.
All behind the scenes as U.S. attorney, in her official capacity, which is like you can't do that. That's like.
To the Boston, she leaked this information to both the Boston Herald and the Boston Globe.
Right. Which it's like when the president sicks the IRS on their political opponents. You're using an office of the executive. You're using the government official capacity and the levers of government to influence a political campaign. That's huge. That's really huge.
And I mean, it's not only that, like so this is the biggest thing, right? Rollins, I'm reading directly from the table of contents from this report. Rollins assists a candidate in the Democratic primary election for Suffolk County DA and seeks to influence the election by disclosing information to the press critical of the candidate's opponent, including sensitive non-public DOJ information. Rollins makes false statements under oath and lacks candor during her Inspector General interview regarding the disclosures. Okay. She then cited Globe articles and internal MA USAO discussions about opening a possible Hayden investigation and raises recusal issue with the EO USA. Arroyo and Rollins discuss a negative Globe story about ARO, and Rollins tells ARO she is working on something. So she this is like very open corruption.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did she? So she invented. So she that middle part there, where she kind of head faked about an investigation into Hayden.
Days before the primary, EO USA provides recusal memoranda to Massachusetts USAO. This is, I guess, U.S. Attorney's Office.
Yeah.
And Rollins contact the Boston Herald reporter who later authors the September 11th article about a possible DOJ investigation of Hayden.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Ario loses primary election, and Rollins tells Ario that Hayden will regret the day he did this to you. Watch.
Right.
Okay, I'm reading directly from this. Like, this is a table of contents. I will include it underneath the link. Like, she was. It's not. It is. She was heavily involved in this.
This is shady stuff. This is like corrupt cop stuff. This is bad. This is super bad. And there were a bunch of insane liberals, including like a guy I follow on like Notorious VOG, who's a local activist, has a little show podcast, who's saying, oh well, they're coming after her because she's a person of color, and this. It's like, bro, are you what? Bullshit. This is criminal.
Hayden will regret the day he did this to you. Watch.
Yeah. So in my mind, I don't know what's prosecutable in this situation, what the penalties for violating the Hatch Act in this way are in a criminal.
This is not. I would say that she accepted this role. This seems like a criminal investigation.
Well, but the thing is, I think because she's going to resign, it won't be, and she is who she is, and it's a Democrat administration, and I don't think I don't think she'd be prosecuted, and I think she should, but okay,
she might be fine. Okay. Well, the next one was the Democratic Party fundraiser without, I guess there was some type of approval that she needed. What was it? Other additional allegations of ethics and policy violations by Rollins. Rollins discloses non-public DOJ letters about potential civil rights matters to the media. Rollins solicits and accepts 30 free Boston Celtics tickets to give to youth basketball teams in connection with a U.S. Attorney Office Project Safe Neighborhood event. I think this is the one where she accepted the tickets and then she did something shady with some of the tickets.
Yeah. See, this is the deal. This is like it's like the Dr. Jill fundraiser on its own. If it happened, all right, okay. I get it. It's not the worst thing. You're not supposed to, but it's okay. So that's if that were isolated. If the Celtics tickets for 30 kids, for youth, helping out the youth of the city. Oh, okay. Come on. I would have been like, come on, guys. It's tickets for the kids. What are we talking about? But it wasn't just tickets for the kids. The kids got the nosebleed seats, and she finagled herself premium seats.
Oh, yeah.
Corrupt.
Rollins accepts non-federal payment of travel expenses on two separate occasions. Rollins calls a local radio show. We're going to go through all of these. Local radio show and discusses U.S. Attorney Office case from which she is recused, meaning she...
I think that was Howie Carr. I think that's when she was on Howie Carr.
Oh, my God.
Maybe, but go ahead. Sorry.
Rollins participates with elected officials from one political party in a press conference regarding a draft Supreme Court opinion in the Dobbs case.
Oh, that must have been okay. Yeah, you're not supposed to do stuff like this. Not in your official capacity.
Use of her personal cell phone to conduct DOJ-related business. That's a minor one, but it's still... Rollins accepts contributions to her district attorney campaign account after being sworn in as a U.S. attorney. That would be like a fine, but it's still...
So, but what does all this tell you about not just who she is, but just the attitude? It's the same thing with the criminals out there when you don't bust them for jumping the turnstile or bust them for petty theft. They think they can get away with it. They think they're entitled to break the law and bend the rules for them because they're special. No. This is pervasive. Like it's not surprising that Alvin Bragg down in Manhattan, this attitude they have towards criminals, they have towards themselves. We know about we know publicly what. I won't get into this now, but a member of the local delegation, member of Congress, what their spouse is up to. Backdealing, influence peddling. They think they can get away with it. And what Glenn Beck had a rant like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I caught online, and it sort of pisses me. I mean, he hit it for me. Like, none of these fucking people go to jail, Caitlin. Paul and Nancy Pelosi make millions off of stock information. Nothing fucking happens, man. Hunter is corrupt as the day is long. Nothing happens. The Clintons,
and they still haven't figured out charges for Hunter. I mean, like, the thing is like, if they haven't figured out what that tells me is that with Hunter Biden, if the DOJ can't figure out how to charge him, is that, and they have enough evidence, like, this has been going on a long time, is that they have enough evidence to charge him. What it is starting to become a constitutional crisis, and that maybe the executive is involved, which is that is corruption. That would be past whatever Trump ever did.
Because this would lead right into a 2024 election. It is very, very troubling to me.
That part of it is very troubling.
Yeah,
when I hear
that none of these people who are clearly they're clearly breaking the law, and they're not going to go to jail. They're influence peddling, and nothing happens. It's just open and rampant corruption. And by the way, liberals, don't say, well, what about Trump and what he does? Like, okay, there's been 20 investigations. Like, dude, you can't craft it. Like,
John Fetterman dresses like a slub. You Republicans can't say anything about that because of Donald Trump. Well, actually, I can. John Fetterman dresses like a slob, and Donald Trump has nothing to do with that. But by the way, he did dress professional for meetings. Thanks.
I think Noam Bloom, said it best. You talk to a liberal about why somebody on the left or the Democrats are doing something wrong out of the context of Trump, and they have no idea how to talk to you. Like, it is bad on its face what Rachael Rollins did. It is bad on its face what Nancy Pelosi has done. It is bad on its face that Hunter, local delegation, what they're up to.
Yes.
Okay? It is bad. Like, they can't have...
So like, I think that gets into, like, the Democrats see politics as a zero-sum game. So if they admit any sort of defeat or like weakness or anything like that, they don't win, right? And so their goal is ultimately to win, because liberals don't have, how can I say this?
Morals.
They don't believe in solid morals and ethics, okay? Like, the small L liberalism,
everything is relative. It's a moral relativism.
It's moral relativism. Large L liberalism believes in breaking everything down in order to create a society in their image. That is what large L liberalism means. Us, with our classical liberalism, which is what conservatism, no matter what anyone else will tell you, is rooted in American conservatism, we don't believe that. We believe in having a moral foundation. Yes, Donald Trump, not always the best moral character in politics, but politics didn't begin in 2016. Okay? I grew up in the Clinton administration, right? Like, I remember, like, starting when I was like in the first grade, a lot of Clinton's, scandals, okay? And then we go into Bush, and we have 9/11, of course, all of that. And then we have Obama, and we have Obama being openly antagonistic with Republicans, that in a way where he's causing this polarization to get even worse. So Donald Trump didn't come around in some vacuum. He came around due to a certain political climate that we had been creating for years. So when liberals pretend that Rachael Rollins, what you did was not wrong, we clearly have laws, and now we have an investigation from the DOJ that shows that you did stuff wrong. She openly meddled in a primary election. Yeah. Trying to sway a primary election.
In her official capacity, too.
In her official capacity, working for the United States federal government for the DOJ, being a U.S. attorney. Okay? So, there's no moral relativism. She did something wrong.
Yeah. The So this is troubling on a lot of respects, and it's not going. The whole pattern isn't going to get better until it
Has
actually
more
starts.
healing said about Rachael Rollins?
More healing, no, but Mayor Wu has been dodging it because Arroyo is still on the city council, right? So I think there's more to come from this. This might be the crack in the dam that breaks a lot of the stuff that the investigations are going on and take down a lot of people. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's good that she's gone. Honestly, it is good. It's a good thing because let me tell you something. If she's acting this way behind the scenes, the prosecutions and official capacity that she's done as U.S. attorney, you can be goddamn sure that that's corrupt as well. Okay. The next what do we have? Next topic. Oh, the debt ceiling. Well, this is pretty cut and dry to me. Elizabeth Warren and a lot of the Dems are pretending like the House Republicans didn't pass a bill. This is like old. This is the debate from 10 years ago. It's like, Republicans pass a bill for the debt ceiling. They did what they're supposed to do. And then Democrats just go on and just pretend that they don't.
Well, the thing is like everyone was okay. Like we can be honest about this as Republicans. Everyone was really shocked that Kevin McCarthy was able to get the crazy House Republican caucus together and pass the debt ceiling bill very, very quickly. Jeff, I think they passed it in like 3 days. Mm-hmm. Like they cut deals in 3 days, and they passed their bill. So that is a starting point for negotiations. Democrats, I am so very sorry that the Republican Party has the House and that Kevin McCarthy passed a bill. You might not like it, but it is a starting point for negotiations with a Democratic Senate and the Democratic White House.
That's how it's supposed to work.
It's supposed to work. That is how the system is supposed to work. Okay, so now the lefties on the left side, the far left fringe, okay, because Elizabeth Warren is not some median Democrat. She's not a moderate. She is a progressive Democrat, okay? Think that Biden can invoke the 14th Amendment in order to raise the debt ceiling unilaterally, okay? So after Donald Trump, where we say that the executive has too much power and we need to take power from the executive, they're throwing a bunch of power onto the executive. That's what they want to do when they want to use the 14th Amendment to raise debt ceiling. By the way, Kevin McCarthy's debt ceiling bill raises the debt ceiling. Did you know that, Jeff?
Yeah, because it was the debt ceiling bill. That's
right. He raises the debt
ceiling. Supposed to do.
He raises the debt ceiling within this bill, but it includes spending cuts, okay? Mm-hmm. Because we need to have spending cuts, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why we keep on having to raise the debt ceiling is because people don't really know this, is the amount of interest on our debt that we currently have is causing us to raise it, okay? So everyone knows what debt is. I don't need to go into an explanation of that. Right now, interest rates are really high because we had inflation. They're trying to control it. So like every single time that we have to pay that bill, we have to pay that percentage on this debt, okay? And that's causing us to keep on having to raise the debt ceiling every single time because what we spend is costing more. And people don't get that. Costing more than what is.
I do get a bit of nostalgia with this. I'll be honest with you. This argument because it does go back a long ways. Because the Democrats go back to the same thing. Well, if we didn't cut taxes, we wouldn't need to cut spending. But this is the thing about the old traditional right left liberal conservative battle. The Democrats want everyody to be government dependents. They want them to be at the trough and.
Sometimes raising they also don't understand because when they look at charts, seeing that sometimes cutting a little bit of taxes will cause more tax revenue to come in versus raising taxes, which will cut the amount of revenue come in. That they completely ignore those type of charts, right, Jeff? So
they think that it's just more taxes, higher rates, tax. The government should spend
a lot of the time when you raise tax rates, you are causing the IRS have to go after more people. And that is actually not cost effective over time. Right, Jeff? So people don't get this, but like the government has finite resources, which is, I think, also why the coin people also pop up. Like, why can't we just mint a platinum coin and pay for it with a platinum coin? People also don't get it. The United States has a lot of like minerals and shit in reserve. They
Look,
have platinum reserve, and they want them to mint a $1 trillion platinum coin that would force a debt ceiling. I mean, you're never going to get Republicans on there because
it's the so-called academics and intellectuals who come out with these things, including like Paul Krugman and genuinely stupid people, because the Lawrence tribes of the world who say now Biden has the authority because there's a Democrats in the White House. That's why.
No,
that's why.
Not,
that's
look. It's not it. This is a serious escalation. People do not get this. Invoking the 14th Amendment is a serious escalation in our politics. You are bypassing the House and what their constitutional authority is on the purse of the United States to unilaterally give the executive that ability. You're not going to have power forever. Is this what you really want? And that's where, when I see Mitch McConnell be like, you're going to regret this later, they don't get that because they only think in the short term. They never
childish and impulsive.
And I mean, also, it is just a very silly argument. I don't even know how like that will stand a constitutional test. I just don't.
Well, they don't care. You look at Ed Markey and Warren, they don't care. They're only about power and getting what they want. If they don't get what they want, they try to change the rules rather than put forth.
Can I read the 14th Amendment to you, this section 4 real quick? Can I read it for everybody? Okay. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions, bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. Okay, this is the portion that people are talking about. Okay, because the 14th Amendment, a lot of people don't understand how its passage went through post Civil War, considering a lot of the debt that was accrued by the Union, also because we had debt because wars are expensive, but there was also debt within the Southern United States with Reconstruction and all this other stuff. They're going back to a Civil War amendment about the debts accrued in order to pass the debt ceiling now. That is how crazy these people are. There is no insurrection currently happening. Yeah. There is nothing that is close to that situation that would cause us to invoke the 14th Amendment. I think this is it is very serious to me, Jeff. Like, I think Kevin McCarthy is being so reasonable right now. I have cut Kevin McCarthy so much on Twitter for being a Trump pussy, but in this case, he had got the coalition, and again, it's not a caucus, it's a coalition, and Kevin McCarthy understood that, and that's how he was able to make deals. He was able to do it. And now Democrats won't even come to the table because they can't see serious escalation of our politics.
The Democrats will lose this one. They will, politically, and they're going to start to know it, right, soon.
Right. It was polling on this by the AP that only 19% of Americans approve of invoking the 14th Amendment. 19%. 19, Jeff. Yeah. The majority of Americans, per this polling, want Republicans and Democrats to get together and come and make a deal so we don't have a default. Because default is cataclysmic. You all don't really understand. Yeah. If we don't pay our bills, that means that our credit rating
what bothers me the most is you have somebody like Warren who I'll read what she said the other day. Let me put this on screen. Republicans in Congress are threatening to push our nation off an economic cliff, throw millions of Americans out of work, and destroy our good name around the world if they don't get their way on the budget. That isn't negotiating. That's hostage taking, pure and simple. Yeah, okay, no. These are just lies. It's. I mean, yeah, they're politicians and they lie. But we should expect better. they're not threatening to push. Sorry about the burp. They're not threatening to push our nation off of a cliff by throw millions of Americans out of work. They passed a deal with, like, honestly, moderate spending cuts. This is just. I'm really, really sick and tired of the unseriousness of the Massachusetts politicians around here, like especially Warren, just so utterly flailing and just
And we always
childish.
look to Warren because Warren is childish and loud, while Markey's just stupid. So, like,
just hysterical rambling. That's all they're capable of. It's so.
The thing is like Liz Warren is going to be able to go back to her. Like, the thing is we get close to this default, Liz Warren is going to be able to go look at her bank account, be perfectly fine, and live in her $1 million house in Cambridge. Everybody else who is not a multi-millionaire like Elizabeth Warren is going to be in deep fucking trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to
they'll cave. They'll cave.
You're not going to mint a platinum coin. You're not going to mint a platinum coin. You're not going to invoke the 14th.
No.
Okay, come to the fucking table with Republicans and make a deal. Because right now, you all are literally bitch about democracy all the time. We have a House that is currently controlled by Republicans. That's democracy. Right now, you all want to thwart democracy by doing this, by flailing and invoking the 14th, want to mint a coin.
What's crazy to me is here's where this is where they're actually politically stupid. We'll move on after to the next topic after this. Where they're politically stupid is if Biden, and maybe Biden knows this and the congressional Democrats don't get it, but if Biden comes to the table and makes a deal, it actually makes him look better.
He's listening to the left.
In the eyes
right now, and it's not politically good for him. Biden is usually, the thing is Joe Biden is many things, but for being a president of the United States, he, I think, listens to the electorate better than a lot of Democrats, and I think that he is the last of this kind.
Yeah.
Okay,
he's
right now listening to the lefties that are very unpopular, and that's one of the reasons why his approval rating is very low. And it
would go up a couple points if he cut this deal, because some of the independents and suburban soccer moms, or whatever you want to call them, would see this and they go, oh, okay, cut a little spending, come to the table on a deal, be adults, be grown-ups. You'd go up a few points. But if you don't do this, it's like, it's on you. They'll take it to the brink, but they'll eventually go with what the Republicans did. So this is a win. Earlier this week, the Durham Report came out exonerating Donald J. Trump. We, at least I, kind of knew a lot of this to begin with. We knew there was nothing to the Russian collusion narrative. Durham does a nice job putting it all together. We learned some new things. Officially, we learned some new things. And I thought, I didn't understand. No, let me rephrase. I didn't know that the Fusion GPS dossier was directly, not indirectly, but directly came from Clinton and the advisors saying they were going to put it out.
Oh, I knew that.
I thought it was, but not like proven. You know what I mean? That it happened. I figured it happened, but I didn't have it. I have
a short story of like how I went from Gary Johnson in 2016 to voting for Donald Trump in 2020. Okay. I voted for Gary Johnson. After that point, I feel like politics really erupted when Donald Trump was elected. Okay. Like, and then you start seeing the Russian collusion bullshit start coming out. Sure. Okay. Like, I think it's pretty normal for campaigns after they win to either beforehand start reaching out to foreign countries that they might win, and you need to start making relationships. And after, especially, notwithstanding, I don't think that Paul Manafort was a good actor. I don't think he was. I don't think that General Flynn was a good actor. I do think that he was unjustifiably pushed around by the legal system, which I think is not right. I think that Carter
he was.
I don't like, and I think that he spreads QAnon bullshit, but that doesn't mean that he deserves to be treated differently within the justice system, which is absolutely what happened. I think that Carter Page was a victim of weird FISA warrants, which are post 9/11 crap. A lot of the time. But what I'm finding in the Durham Report is that there was no reason to start this investigation into the Trump campaign over Russia stuff.
Right.
I see Obama knowing about it means an executive was getting it, like we talked about with Rachael Rollins, getting involved in a presidential election campaign at the last minute in order to hurt a candidate. That is direct corruption. Okay. I see Hillary Clinton, who should not shock anybody. I mean, Hillary Clinton's been around since the 90s and has always sucked.
Dirtiest.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is a Christmas tradition within my family to discuss the crimes of the Clinton family, all of the scandals. Like, we discuss it every single Christmas because that's how much we hate Bill and Hillary Clinton and how much a cancer they have been on our American political system since before I was fucking born, Jeff. Like, I was born in 1989. Like, they have been around for so long. By Hillary, by Comey, who was the FBI director at the time. Okay, so that means the FBI director was directly involved in campaign opposition reports and all of this other stuff and pushing that opposition research out. That is a corruption of what you are supposed to be doing as an FBI director. So when people are like, we need to defund the FBI, I'm not there yet. I'm there on a full audit.
No, reform. Okay? Reform. You can reform all of this. Just fire a bunch of people.
Who was the attorney general at the time, 4 people. Okay. And Biden as VP, kind of an idiot, probably knew too. So this stuff has caused so much corrosive rot and destruction to trust in our institutions that it will take decades to repair.
The weaponizing of government institutions really went on steroids I'd say during the Obama administration and post-Obama. Okay.
Okay.
Really,
I'm not saying that I am
the FBI, the FBI, you want to trust the FBI as an American citizen. You want to trust them.
Well, you want to trust our legal system completely, right?
But hang on. The FBI, you want to trust law enforcement that they're going after true criminals, that they're abiding by their law, by their own policies that they're doing. Look, it's probably idealistic that maybe they bend some rules that you're willing to look away from when they do, but they're doing it in the hope of justice at the other end. But then you have Peter Strzok and whoever he was sleeping with openly saying they're going to take down Trump, and knowing that the reports were bullshit. That's really, really troubling because they're now political operatives in an official government capacity, much like Rachael Rollins. Like this is scary stuff. This is where the scary stuff happens, where it's like, right. If you step out of line, you have the FBI, and by not step out of line criminally, but you step out of line politically, or you become too dangerous to an elected official, the Democrat Party. If you become too dangerous to the Democrat Party, they'll sick the FBI on you. I mean, that's. I don't like the comparisons to. I mean,
we're seeing currently FBI agents try to go after pro-life activists. They showed up on the door of a progressive one. Like, we saw footage of this happening. That is insane to me. Why? There's no point. There has been a weaponization of the FBI, of federal law enforcement agencies, and this corruption. I mean, full audit, full reform. I mean, I am pro all of that. I don't think a defund does anything in the way that we
defunding it.
You have to change it.
Fix it. So, these cases where they're sending agents to I don't know the particulars of the pro-life activists. I don't take things at face value. Maybe they said something that was a bit out of far from field. I don't know. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying they did either. I want to see more of it. But you have stuff like this where I see it on Twitter, and the rest of America doesn't see this unless you're on Twitter, is like the Patriot Front group. Like,
I don't even know what this is.
It's look, I don't know this, but it's very odd. It's a bunch of super jacked dudes who cover their bodies head to toe in oddly, like they all shopped at the same store. They all got their placards and signs from some place where
they're all wearing those khakis. Like,
yeah, it's like, okay, this is clearly not organic and real. It's manufactured, and who's manufacturing it? And when did they appear? Well, they only appeared after Biden got elected. Oh boy. We're gonna see, God willing, when President DeSantis takes office, an investigation into this. And the chuckleheads who thought of this ridiculous idea of, you're just going to hire a bunch of dudes, former military, current law enforcement, whatever they are, to march around the various cities of the country, and miraculously Antifa never shows up for these neo-Nazis to get into a fight with. They're protected by police. They're shuttled away into U-Haul vans with guys with walkie-talkies and plain clothes behind them, like all kinds of weird stuff. When this stuff comes out, and I really hope it does, everybody should be fired who thought of this. They're just, it's go back to going after criminals, tracking down terrorists, counterfeiters like mob. Do what you're supposed to do as a member of law enforcement. Stop it with this nonsense, and just restore the trust back in an agency that I think desperately needs it.
Yeah, I mean, the polling on approval of the FBI right now is very low. And so, or a lot of federal, I guess, law enforcement agencies as well, along with some of the defense, because like NSA and CIA are also defense. And John Brennan, motherfucker.
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
Who lied to Congress,
deserves
to have his
absolute garbage
ass cheeks on a jail cell bench. They deserve some type of they should be put through a trial and by a jury of their peers and maybe go to jail. Like, we need to have these type of processes brought back in order to create trust in these institutions going forward. I hate that this has been so corrosive on trust. Like, that is because we're conservatives. We believe in the institution. We don't believe in burning everything down, you and I. And it's just gotten progressively worse.
It's just reform. We need reform, and it's not going to happen under Biden. So, all right, folks. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the RINO Podcast. Head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/RINOPod, only $1 a month. We just did a latest presidential primary, as I burp, episode. We may come back for Memorial Day. I don't know. It depends on what happens and if there's anything to talk about. And and we may not if it's just nice and we go do something. Right. So until next time, hit retweet, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and go join the Patreon for $1 a month. And don't be cheap. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.